Value for money, I can say nobody has paid me today, so you can expect anything. So we have the topic to be discussed is, can we see football in a health perspective? And before actually getting started, we need to understand what is it all about. And for that reason, I would like to show you a video just explaining you about this excellent game.
Thank you.
So here you see football players, about 70 years, been playing for football more than 60 years. And how do they then look compared to younger people? That you may see here, where we have shown the balance, the ability to stand for 1 minute on a very small thing. And what you see here, these are 70 years old untrained men, and they have a balance, you may say, how many falls they do have, around 35, compared to these guys that have been playing football for more than 60 years. And you see they have much less, and they have a similar level to 30 years old untrained men. Comparing then the muscle strength, the ability to produce force very rapidly, as you do see it for 70 years old, it's significantly reduced compared to those that have been playing football. And the important thing is that they actually have a level corresponding to about 30 years old untrained people. So by being playing for that many years, doing that type of activity, they are almost 30 years. At least they do feel like that. And that's also what you saw at the end, the social aspect related to being there. So it's not just the physical capacity, but also that ability to be together appears to be quite important, at least for their ability to maintain that interest in playing football. By that, I would like to start the presentation saying that we have tried to study then the effect of football on a health perspective, and done that for quite a number of years now, and we have had quite a number of different groups, as you are going to see in the presentation. We have groups of homeless, we have groups of untrained middle-aged men, we have the elderly, as you just saw, we have had children, we had female players in different age groups, and so on. So what did we see then? This is one of the first studies we did with middle-aged, or maybe
we shouldn't call it 20 years old for middle age, but at least that age group. And what happened with the lean body mass when they have been playing for 12 weeks is shown here. This is the values before, and these are the values after. So they gain about 2 kilo of muscle mass, some in the legs and some in the upper body. And you also saw that they lost a significant amount of fat. So apparently that type of activity has a significant effect on the developing of the muscles. And why is it so? Because this activity includes quite a number of intense actions, which you may not see, as we will return to when you're running and doing normal fitness training as such. We have done a number of studies, and here we have compiled some of those, and we have different health parameters, and you see the maximal oxygen uptake. If you are below 35 milliliters per minute per kg, you may regard it as in a risk zone. And before those 12 weeks of training, 37 players had a level below that, and so on for the fat percent, LDL, cholesterol, quadriceps muscle mass, and blood pressure, as you see, and positive balance. And what happened after 3 months of training? We have reduced the number of players in the risk zone of the maximal oxygen uptake by this 26, so only 9 players were in that zone, 34 players on fat percent, and so on. So you can see the changes, that there were significant changes by playing football for these 3 months. And you can see, for example, for the blood pressure, 39 players were in the risk zone. After being playing, only 13 of the players were in that zone, and they had a significant reduction in the systolic blood pressure, indicating that the risk of getting diseases are significantly less. We did also a study with women, I won't call middle-aged, but between 25 and 50 years old women. And you will just see a few of the results from that study, and you recognize here that we are talking about twice a week, 1 hour. And if you look at the maximum oxygen uptake, you see a significant increase. Here you see all the individual values, but they started at a level around 33, and they increased to a level close to 40 milliliters per minute per kg. A reasonable high value for a female at that age. Here we also had a running group, and you see they also had an increase in the maximum oxygen uptake. They started higher, and they had a smaller increase in the maximum oxygen uptake. And we had a control group that lived a normal life, and you see there was no change. So apparently football was able to increase their fitness level. Then one thing even more important for the females may be the bone mineral density. And here you see for the control group, there were no change in the bones, and this is on the left and the right leg, that's not that important. But you see the jogging had an increase in both legs. It changed in about 1%. And you see the football group had more than 2% increases. So significant increases in the bone mineral density, which is a very important aspect related to avoiding getting injuries related to falls or similar types of actions. So a significant effect, and that also created a bit of interest around the world, and here is from New York Times, as you may see it. And but new research shows that women who join in the fun and kick around football can dramatically improve their bone and health. You haven't seen the data on the heart, but we also saw significant changes on these girls. And they actually suggest in that case that the women that are bringing their boys and girls to football should play themselves. And that's what's happening nowadays in the Danish Football Federation, where because they have taken an initiative calling Football Fitness, where they give opportunities for the parents also to be active. So that's a very simple way now to also involve the parents in football. And apparently it has a significant effect in this case for the female on bone mineral density. Can we use football as a treatment? We have a few studies going on in that. Those data are brand new, where we had a group of people with hypertensive, too high blood pressure, and as you can see here, we compare that to another group that got doctoral advice, and you see their maximum oxygen uptake. They're starting on a level around 33. After 6 months of football training, you can see a marked increase in the fitness level for those that took part in the football, whereas there actually was a tendency to a decrease in the other group that got the doctoral advice. So, what about then the blood pressure, which are the main problem for these people? And you may see it's not that easy to move here, but we don't have a portable microphone, so I have to move around like this. So these are 6 months, and you see the systolic blood pressure, which is, as you remember from the previous slide, is very high. We're talking about 155 millimeters mercury. And you see a marked decrease after 3 months of football training, and they were able to maintain that lower level for another 3 months. Whereas also the group that got doctoral advice had a slight decrease, but it was much less than we saw in the football. And the similar thing you see for the diastolic blood pressure here, where they actually, after these 3 months, were very close to a normal level for diastolic blood pressure, and they were able to maintain that for another 3 months. Whereas there was less change in the other group that got the normal doctoral advice. So apparently it has an effect to play a football, and this is the conclusion, now brought up in another way. Soccer is the great way to kick high blood pressure, it looks like. Do you agree? If you agree, you may have to stand there. Who agrees? Second time they were standing. Okay. Then football compared to other activities. Let us just finish with that. And in this study we compared football for these middle-aged men with other types of activities like jogging, like interval running, like strength training, and we had a control group that were not active. And you see here the increase in the maximum oxygen uptake expressed in percent, and you see the jogging group had a 9% increase, the interval group had about 15%, which was similar to the football group, whereas you didn't see any or little change in the strength training group and no in the control group. If you then move again to muscle mass, it was clear that the strength training group had a significant increase, what you expect, because that's the focus of the training. They didn't have much of a change in the maximum oxygen uptake that you see here, but the 2 other groups, jogging and interval running, didn't have much of a change, and the control group didn't have much. So, apparently the football training gives something in relation to developing muscle mass. That is, in this case, similar to what you do when you do strength training. Fat percent, how did that turn out then? Let's go here then. Jogging, you see a marked decrease in the fat percent. The interval group didn't do that much training, apparently, because they didn't get a decrease in the fat percent, but you again see the football group even had a more marked decrease compared to the jogging group, and you see the strength training group actually didn't have any change in the fat percent. So, bone mass, you do see here, football again, similar to strength training, where those minor changes in the jogging and the interval group and no change in the control. So in every case, we have seen the green coming out with the best result. And what was the green? Yeah, just tell me. What was the green?
Football.
Football, yes, apparently it's quite effective. And what is even more important maybe is that when you look at how they feel doing that type of exercise, the green is the lowest one. The perceived exertion indicating how they do feel that type of activity, whereas jogging, interval running at significantly higher level compared to the green and the strength training as well, higher level. So what do we have now? We have an activity that is very effective, very stimulating, and they don't feel it that tough. Not bad, is it? And maybe the best result of all those I'm going to demonstrate today is that after 12 weeks when we did the research, these guys told us, we have to continue. We were going to stop the study. They said, we have to continue, you cannot stop the study now. So we started them for 1.5 years. At the end we said, we can't provide you with a field any longer, we can't provide you with the balls and so on. Because they wanted to play. The jogging group were very happy to stop. So now we have also that psychological aspect. So, what do they say in the United States? Run it like Beckham. That was at least the conclusion that they made a few years ago in Fox News. And you may be able to come to the conclusion. And you know the conclusion, so I may not need to go through all these, but it's, as we know, easy to organize. Because what we did is actually bringing a ball, having a field, no rules except for those that are generally accepted, but there were no referees. They were doing it themselves. We have seen that the intensity becomes very high. As soon as the ball is there, they run for the ball. Even those that do not have any experience with football. In the female study, we had a number of women that had never been playing football before. Some were from an other ethnical background, never been playing football before. Still, they were able to adapt to the game and get the fun out of it. And that's what's in this game. What we have been seeing, you haven't seen all the results, but there are many effects of football in various aspects related to health. And we're also seeing that it's not only the cardiovascular system, but we also stimulate the muscles, we stimulate the bones when we are playing. So, if you want to read more about it, there are scientific data studies described here. For example, the supplement. So, we are not finished yet, because there's a lot of other issues we would like to address. One is, do other team sports have the same effect? I'm sure we can find a number of other team sports that have that same effect. We need to study those. Can we use it for children? We have seen with different types of board games that we actually can stimulate them and improve their ability to perform when they do that on a regular basis. I won't go into detail with that. But children are, of course, an important, very important area where we want to explore the research. And then the other team sport, how can we use those? How can we use them, as we just talked about, for the children, but also in different types of treatment. We saw the hypertensive people, but type 2 diabetes is, of course, a major problem, as we have heard about, and why not having the same effect on these guys when you're playing football. Some other issues that are not physiological oriented. What do we need to motivate the non-trained to start taking part in the team sports? Because when they get started, apparently, they would like to keep it going. Is it then related to their compliance, the ability to do these things? And as I just mentioned, the Football Federation have taken that on board, starting a number of activities where they hope that they will maintain these people within the sport. And how are we going to organize that in the society to help promote the health aspect? That's the challenge now. We have good data to support the importance of it, but we need to find the right way to introduce those into the society. By that, I would like to thank all the people taking part in those studies. These are just a few of those. In the middle we have from FIFA, where we have very close collaboration, the head of the medical committee, Jerry Borak, who has taken a significant part in these studies. And by that, I would hope that you would stand, and I would like to thank you for your